Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to test the Wilson Ultra. I'm going to test three different models of Ultra rackets, the Pro, the 100, and the 100 Lite. And I've never seen such discrepancy in racket specs between different models of the same racket. I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but first I want to talk about the paint job on this racket. And to me, this is one of the best looking rackets that I've ever seen. It kind of reminds me of the Prince Precision that had a similar color pattern. I think this racket looks really cool. So the racket you're looking at here is the Wilson Ultra Pro 16 by 19 V4. And the first interesting thing about this racket is the beam width. It has a 20.6 millimeter beam width. So this is one of the thinnest beams that you will find from any racket. This is definitely an old school characteristic. The Ultra Pro comes in at 305 grams unstrung. It has a stiffness rating of 62 RA and a 6 points head light. It also has a 97 square inch racket head size. So just based on the specs, the beam width, I think this racket is going to be more of a control racket, but let's see. The next Ultra I'm going to test is the 100, and you can probably already tell that the 100 has a much thicker beam compared to the Pro. But the interesting thing about the beam is the way it's designed. So it's 24 millimeters around the throat, then it gets wider at 26.5 millimeter, and then gets smaller again towards the tip of the racket head at 25 millimeters. So we're dealing with three different beam widths. Generally, when the beam is thicker at 9 and 3 o'clock, this correlates to more responsiveness. The Ultra 100 comes in at 300 grams unstrung. It has a stiffness rating of 70 RA and is 4 points head light. It also has a 100 square inch racket head size. So the racket on top is the Wilson Ultra 100L, and the racket on the bottom is the Wilson Ultra 100. And you would think that they would have the same beam width, but they don't. So the Ultra 100L comes in at 280 grams unstrung. It is 4 points head light, just like the 100. And you would think that the stiffness would be the same as the 100 at 70 RA, but no, for some reason the 100L has a 64 RA stiffness rating. So the specs are all over the place when it comes to these three Ultra models. And the first impression with the Ultra 100L is negative. I'll be honest, I was expecting more responsiveness. The racket is not a low power racket by any means. It is a power racket, but for some reason I don't like the feeling that I get at the moment of contact. The racket feels dampened to me. I'm going to hit some backhands, but I want to quickly show you that the grip length is excellent on the Ultra. So I got plenty of space between my left index finger and the end of the handle. So the backhand should feel good. Let's see. It doesn't feel that bad actually. I'm surprised, because generally at 280 it affects my backhand in a negative way, but this doesn't feel too bad. So first impression of the Ultra 100L is mid. Okay, this is the Ultra 100, and even though there's only 20 grams difference in the static weight, this one feels a lot heavier and it's also stiffer. Let's see if I can feel a difference. And yes, this is way better, night and day, way more responsive. I like this one a lot better on my forehand. Let me try some backhands. I like it so far. This one does feel good, and the ball is shooting off the racket pretty quickly. This one is a power racket. All right, now it's time to test the Ultra Pro, and this racket looks so cool. And let's see if I like this one. My first impression, of course, is completely different from the 100, but I got to tell you, I was expecting a low power racket. This racket is not low power. I'm getting a lot of response from this one. And the thing that I like about the Pro is that it's not too heavy. It's got 305 grams static weight, so I like this so far. Let me try to rip a little more. Oh my goodness. Wow. 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 Let me try backhand. Okay, backhand, not bad. So far, I like the Pro a lot. I also did like the 100. I didn't like the 100L that much, but I need to play out some points to find out which one of these I like the best and whether I'm going to choose it in my final playtest video. We're gonna start with the Ultra 100L coming in at 280 grams unstrung. Good. So I would classify this as a power racket, and some power rackets give you less control. That comes along with the power racket. However, on this one, I'm actually not getting that much power, and I'm also getting almost no control. So far, I do not like this 100L at all. That serve does feel pretty good though, so maybe I can change my mind. Spray that slice for no reason. Are we going to blame the racket on that one? No, that slice wasn't placed properly. It was too close to the line. That backhand, however, that's the return that I normally make, and the ball just got away from me. The racket was unstable at the moment of contact. I kind of snatched at that return, and I missed it way long. That forehand was 100% the racket's fault. I would never miss a forehand like that if it wasn't for the racket. I'm of course kidding. That's what's going on in my mind. I'm immediately blaming the racket, but I have to make that forehand regardless of the racket. However, the feelings that I'm getting from hitting the ball with this Ultra 100L is no good. I don't understand why they made this racket less stiff compared to the 100 version. It makes no sense. Because a racket with this wide of a beam, with this weight, should be a lot more responsive. It should have a lot more power. I'm not saying it doesn't have power, it does, but nearly not enough for me to consider this one. All right, last point. See that? 100% the racket's fault. Again, I probably would have missed that backhand with any racket because I hit it on the bottom of the string bed. But again, I'm not getting anywhere near the control that I'm looking for, and I'm not getting anywhere near the power that I like. All right, now it's time for the regular version coming in at 300 grams unstrung. And the RA on this one is way higher at 70. So on paper, I should be able to get a lot more heat with this one. I actually got less heat on that serve, but the toss was also atrocious. Not getting a lot of forehands in today, but I'm also not moving my feet. So it's time to step up the intensity or this playtest is going to be useless. Spraying so much. So this one for sure has more power compared to the L, no doubt about it. It's more responsive, but the control is a big question mark. Not getting a ton of stability at the moment of contact with this one. Okay, maybe I'll get a forehand in at some point today. Okay, I made a forehand finally, but I gotta tell you, out of all the rackets that I tested, these two are probably the worst. They just don't feel right. Maybe it's day form, meaning that no matter what racket I play with today, I don't feel like I'm playing well. It's just one of those days, and maybe this is for sure a situation where it's more me than the actual racket, but still, I'm just telling you what I'm feeling. I don't feel nearly enough power, and I don't feel nearly enough control, and I can't even maneuver this racket through the air properly. Then spray that one. Okay, I'm gonna switch to the Pro and let's see if I can do a little bit better. Coming in at 305 grams unstrung and also featuring a 97 square inch racket head. Now, I did like this racket on the wall. So if I continue to play poorly even with this racket, we can attribute today's performance on day form. It's just not my day. My back hurts, my knee hurts, I feel sluggish, I can't move, I can't keep a single ball in the court, I'm not getting any power in my serve. So if I continue playing like this with the Ultra Pro, it's definitely a situation where it's more me than the racket. Okay, that serve felt a little bit better. Even though I missed it, it came off the racket a little bit quicker. All right, so backhand, I do feel the weight of this one a little bit, but those forehands and that serve felt pretty good. I have to increase my swing radius on the backhand. I'm not getting that much out of this one. The power level is lower, means I gotta swing bigger on the backhand side. The forehand, on the other hand, feels just right. I can take a big cut and I'm not losing control, and actually I do feel quite a bit of responsiveness coming out of this one. So it's not really that much of a low power racket. You do get some heat out of this one. Okay, so that was a weak forehand. I didn't set up right, I was too far away from the ball, but yet I was able to correct a poor forehand and the racket helped me out a little bit. So maybe it's not day form. Maybe it was the rackets that were contributing to some of those errors. I don't know yet. I still don't feel like I'm playing well, but I do feel like I'm playing better with the Ultra Pro compared to the other two rackets. Good serve. Despite the classic characteristics of this racket, a smaller racket head size and a thin beam, this racket has quite a bit of pop. I'm getting some good heat on my serve and my forehand. Classic frame, classic game. I feel like I'm moving better with this racket too. How is that possible? I'm definitely feeling the ball more with this racket. I'm playing close to my normal game now. I don't feel like I'm playing that poorly right now. So let me describe this racket for you. I'm very happy that it's 305 grams because normally a racket like this is 310, 315 in my experience. So 305 makes this racket maneuverable, and generally a racket with these specifications is more low power, but I would not classify this racket as low power. It's not a power racket, that's true, but I am getting some good heat, and most importantly I'm getting a lot of control from this one as well. Slowest man in Palm Beach County strikes again. The only question mark with this one is the backhand. The backhand does not feel good. I'm getting a lot less power than I normally do. Forehand though, not bad at all. All right, the serve, definitely not bad, but not perfect. Best serve racket so far out of all the rackets was the FX 500. What happens to me sometimes is that when I play with rackets that are heavier and have a lower RA, that I start feeling it in the arm. So this is, for me personally, a racket that's going to be dangerous for my arm, I think, because I do feel a little bit something when I'm hitting hard with this one. I'm forced to take swings that are larger than normal, and that can lead to arm pain. Okay, I'm gonna have to end this play test because I am feeling it now in my arm. And unfortunately, while the Pro is by far the best out of these three, I'm gonna have to disregard all Ultra Wilsons from my final play test video. It's a nice racket for the right person, but that person is unfortunately not me.